Hello again. We are going to work on number 9 and number 10 now on our Unit 3 review. This is page 107, so we're working on number 9 and number 10. So Ben has a piece of cord that is 40 feet long. He wants to cut the cord into pieces to tie up the tomato plants in his garden. So just by reading this, I know I'm taking a total and I've got to separate it out to see how many pieces I can get. So how many pieces can he cut if each piece is 1/2 foot long? Draw a diagram to represent the division. So what I am doing is I am taking one thing, right, 40 feet of string, and I need to see how many smaller pieces I can divide this into. Okay, I'm not going to draw all of them. That would be a lot of pieces. So this question is asking us how many 1/2 foot pieces are in 40. Now, if I'm looking at that question and I'm thinking about what this means as a diagram, and he's cutting up the 40 foot pieces of string, or the 40 foot piece of string, what I need to realize is that I need to get a bigger answer than what I'm starting with. Because if I'm cutting up this piece into smaller pieces, I should end up with more. So my equation is going to be 40 divided by 1/2, because this is answering this question. 40 divided by 1/2. How many 1/2s are in 40? So now I can go ahead and solve this problem. So I know that 40 is the same thing as 40 over 1 written as a fraction. I'm going to keep the 40, change the division to multiplication, and then I'm going to flip the 1/2, 2 over 1. That is the reciprocal. Then I can multiply. 40 times 2 is 80, which gives me 80 pieces. So my answer for this question is 80 pieces. I go back and think about this. Is this reasonable? Well, I know that there are 2 halves in each whole, so 2 times 40 would make complete sense. So 80 pieces would be correct. And now for number 10. So of the 5th grade students, 15 out of 20 went to the book fair. Of the students who went to the book fair, 12/16 bought at least one book. What fraction of the students bought at least one book? So we're trying to find out 12/16 of 15/20. So if I'm doing that problem, it is 12/16 of, so of the students that went, of 15/20, this many bought books. So 12/16 of, which of means to multiply, of 15/20. This is a fantastic problem to go ahead and cross cancel to help us out. I don't have to write an equation, so I'm going to just get right down to the work. So I know that 12 and 20 both divide by 4. So I'm going to divide 12 by 4, and I'm going to divide 20 by 4. So I end up with 5 here, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. I also see 15 and 16. Those aren't really going to do much for me to cross cancel. I know 15 is only 3 times 5, so that doesn't really help. I could reduce this problem right here if I wanted to, and I could take 15/5 and divide that both by 5, because if I divide anything or multiply anything by a fraction equal to 1, I know that my value does not change. So I could just reduce this one and end up with an easier problem to do before I get started. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So 15/5 is the same thing as 3 over 1. So I could do 3/16 times 3 over 1. And that's going to end up being 3 times 3 is 9. And 16 times 1 is 16. So now I have 9/16. I know the multiples of 9, 3 times 3 are the 2 factors that get me 9, so that doesn't help. 16, 2, 4, and 8. 16 doesn't get reduced, so I have 9/16 of the students. I have to think about the digits after to see if I can reduce them. So I always just think about what numbers go together to get that. 3 times 3 is 9, 1 times 9 is 9, and then 2 times 8 is 16, 4 times 4 is 16, 1 times 16. So none of those two, numerator and denominator, have anything that go together for me to reduce it or simplify it any further. If this part right here did not make too much sense to you, you can just go ahead 12/16 times 15/20. You could reduce both fractions first and then multiply. That's another strategy. You could also just multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Or like we said, you could cross cancel here and then multiply 3 times 15 is 45. And then I have to do 16 times 5. 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. And then I would have to reduce this fraction. I have to divide the top and the bottom by the same thing in order to get me to my simplified fraction. So I think what can divide evenly into 45 and 80? I know that 5 would work to get started with, so I'll try that. So I'm going to divide it by 5 over 5. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. 5 goes into 80. It's going to be 16. So a couple different options of how you can make this problem a little bit easier for you to do. So you could do one option by reducing, cross-canceling before, another option just cross-canceling and then multiplying. You could just multiply it out, 12 times 15 and 16 times 20 as well if you don't like to cross-cancel. But again, you must simplify at the end in order to get you to the lowest form or the simplified answer. Okay, if you have any questions with those, make sure that you ask in our Zoom.